Goldminded Records, they're not your friends.
What up, it's Klive Kraven. I'm back again with a brand new video. This time, gonna do a horror discussion again. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is talk about horror subgenres. There's so many, and I only listed a small portion to go over. This isn't every horror subgenre, I know that. But it is a majority of them. I try to include most of them, most of the notably known ones. And I just want to kind of, I don't know, give demonstrations of each one, or my opinions of which each one should be classified as, and kind of what they are, and talk a little bit about them, which ones I do like, which ones I don't like. Feel free to leave a video response to this if you do like this. If you would like to discuss this with me, I'm more than open to hear your guys' chats and hear what you think on it. So please feel free to leave a video response on this. But okay, so we got, horror subgenres. There's a ton of them. The first one I have here is ghost, paranormal, and supernatural. This pretty much can encompass a lot of movies. Obviously, some of the ones that come to mind: The Shining, House on Haunted Hill. Paranormal Activity is a modern one. All those movies can kind of be put in there in that subgenre. My opinion on it, I do like Haunted House. Well, Haunted House actually has a separate thing. So let's say Ghost, paranormal, and supernatural movies. I do like those films. The modern ones, not so much. There's a lot of stuff nowadays that I'm not too big into when it comes to that. There's some cool ones, but it just seems like it's been done so much that the ideas for originality to come with it aren't really there. So I'm not too big into the whole ghost, paranormal, supernatural films. There's certain ones, older ones, that I'm into, but a lot of the modern stuff, not so much. The next one is nature films, or natural horror films. This could be things like Anaconda, Jaws, Shark Night, anything, Piranha, anything with a actual creature in nature being the, I guess you could say, villain of the film, even though it's really not a villain necessarily. It's just the monster. We'll say the monster. The monster in the film. So yeah, nature horror films. I do like these. I did like Anaconda. I did like Lake Placid. I did like Jaws, obviously, and a lot of those films. There is some shitty ones, don't get me wrong. Moods already knows. Shouts out to Piranha 2. There is some ones out there that are bad, but there is good ones too. So I'm kind of on the fence about that. I won't say I love that genre, that subgenre, or I hate it. Kind of on the fence with that one. The next one of my favorite subgenres, period, and that is slasher films. Absolutely love slasher films. They are phenomenal. One of my favorite. Love the gore. Love the 80s slashers. Love the vibe and the feel to them. A lot of great characters in slasher movies, honestly. Because you're introduced to so many characters within a slasher movie that there is a big selection. I don't know. I really fucking love slasher horror films. I love everything about them. The vibe, the atmosphere, especially 70s and 80s slasher films, even some of the early 90s ones. There's some good stuff there, Dr. Giggles and stuff like that. But obviously everyone knows what a slasher is. You have things like The Burning, Friday the 13th, My Bloody Valentine, April Fool's Day, New Year's Evil, Mother's Day, Maniac. I mean, there's a ton of slasher films, and I know more slashers probably than any other subgenre, because it is probably my favorite subgenre of all. One of my favorite, if not favorite, of all the horror subgenres. So yeah, slashers are great. The next one is splatter / torture porn. This is a subgenre that I actually really do enjoy. I really enjoy really gruesome horror films. The more brutal, the better. I do like things like Saw, Hostel, Inside, Martyrs, Train, Frontiers, Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, the really brutal, savage, realistic kind of, horror films I really do enjoy. I think that they do bring something to the table that's different. It is a kind of new subgenre, only explored in the last 15 years or so, I would say. There is movies that, foreign films that are a little older that kind of tap on that and touch on that subject, or that subgenre, I should say. But it's something really, honestly, in the last 15 years it's really started exploding and becoming huge and becoming like a phenomenon and a really used subgenre in horror. But I really enjoy it, actually. I like splatter / torture porn films. I just think that it's foul. They're foul, but I mean that's kind of why you watch them. I know for me, a big part of it is actually seeing how brutal and how foul it can get. A movie like Inside is a perfect example of that. I thought that was a phenomenal film. I believe it's a French film, just amazingly put together. But yeah, I do enjoy those films. Another one in that genre would probably be something like High Tension. High Tension would probably be in there. Definitely, for sure. The next subgenre is found footage films. This is things like VHS, The Last Horror Movie. I guess you could kind of put Paranormal Activity in there. There's a lot of things that kind of fit into this subgenre. I do like a lot of this stuff, but like I said, some of it's hit and miss. I'd probably say I prefer this more than I do some of the ghost films. Like if I look at like something like Paranormal Activity, I'm not a huge fan of that film. I have some of the films in the franchise, but something I am a big fan of is VHS and The Last Horror Movie. I do like those a lot, and those are found footage films. So it can be done really well, and it can be done really poorly. It depends on who's doing it, who you have acting, what the premise is. I mean, there's a lot of things that it's dependent on. So found footage films are once again kind of on the fence for me. Sci-fi horror is the next subgenre. Sci-fi horror is great. That gives you things like Predator, Alien, you could even throw things like Night of the Creeps in there, Slither, because they have like sci-fi elements to them. The Deadly Spawn. There's films like that have sci-fi elements that are very cool. And then obviously like Species and more the alien type films, but yeah, sci-fi horror is one of my favorite subgenres. I do enjoy a lot of the stuff out of it because I know that it's not strictly horror. I know to expect sci-fi elements out of it. I know that that's kind of what it's geared towards with horror elements in it. So, yeah, sci-fi horror is one of my favorite subgenres. I actually do enjoy a lot of the stuff in that. There's probably a lot of stuff I haven't seen, honestly, but I do enjoy a lot of the stuff that I've seen over the last 20, 30 years. Cinema-wise. Like I said, I haven't looked at a lot of the stuff from the 60s and 50s. But stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s, there's a lot of gems in there for sure. The next one is comedy horror. Comedy horror is one of my favorite subgenres. I do love comedy horrors when they're done correctly. There's a ton of them out there. You got the scary movies, Shaun of the Dead, Student Bodies, Repossessed. There's a million horror comedies. Once Bitten. I mean, there's a ton of them. But I do love that subgenre. And there's some in there that people consider comedy horror that I don't even necessarily consider comedy horror because I feel they're more horror-based. Things like Return of the Living Dead, Fright Night, and a few other ones that I consider more horror. I see the comedy elements in it, I get it. But for me, I would say they're more horror than comedy horror. But yeah, comedy horror is one of my favorite subgenres. Really love a lot of the stuff in there. Just a fun subgenre for sure. The next one is haunted house films. There's a lot of great haunted house films, and there's a lot of doozies too. One of my favorites is The Changeling. I really love that film. Just a great atmosphere, classic film, really well filmed, great acting, very eerie. But there's a ton that can go in there. You got House on Haunted Hill. You've got fucking The Haunting. There's so many. You could even consider The Shining in there because it kind of is like a haunted hotel. There's a lot of things. 1408 is just kind of the same premise, another really good one, a newer one. But there's a lot of stuff under haunted house movies that I really do enjoy and dig. So yeah, really, really fun subgenre there. The next three I'm going to kind of lump together because they're each individual creatures. That is werewolves, vampires, and zombies. Obviously, they kind of have their own subgenres. For werewolves, you've got Silver Bullet, American Werewolf in London, The Howling, just tons of stuff under the werewolf category. I love werewolf films. Always loved them. I probably like werewolf films, I think, more than vampire. Yeah, probably over vampire. I know a lot of people get in that debate, vampire versus werewolf films. Me personally, I prefer werewolf films over vampire films. But vampire films are fun too. You got some good ones in there. You got Bram Stoker's Dracula. You've got What else? Fucking The Lost Boys, one of my favorites, From Dusk Till Dawn. Fright Night. And there is some newer stuff that I thought was pretty good. I thought the Blade movies were pretty decent. Although I haven't seen all of them. I saw, I think, parts of the second and third and the whole first one. There's some modern stuff. I mean, I know it's not really modern now. Shit's over 15 years old now, but still, there's some semi-modern stuff that's pretty decent in the that subgenre. I know John Carpenter has Vampires, which I think I've seen parts of it. I saw Movie Collector 666 talk about it in his recent vampire film. Top 10 countdown, I should say, not film. But yeah, so vampire films, werewolf films, and then zombie films. Zombie films is Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Evil Dead, Night of the Living Dead. There's a million zombie films out there, a ton of them. And I love pretty much all of them. I'm a huge zombie horror film fan. I absolutely love the Dead series, pretty much everyone in there. I'm not big on some of the remakes, the low budget remakes they've done, and some of the sequels are pretty shit. But like the first two Return of the Living Deads, the original Dead trilogy, the Dawn remake, the Night of the Living Dead remake, even some of the low budget underappreciated ones like Children of the Living Dead I actually liked, and I thought the what one was it? Night of the Living Dead 3D, Night of the Living Dead 3D with Sid Haig. I didn't even think that was terrible. I mean, there is some really bad ones in the franchise. Don't get me wrong. There's some new ones that I saw a UK release of one called Night of the Living Dead It's not reanimated. Something. Resurrection, I think. Yeah, I think it's Resurrection, but was not digging that at all. I watched about 10. I paid to get that from Redbox, and fucking took it back the next day and didn't even finish watching. I watched like 10 minutes of it and cut it off. Horrible. Which leads me into the next two, which kind of go hand in hand as giant monster creatures, giant monster movies and creature feature films. Creature feature films can be any kind of weird giant monster, Pumpkinhead, the Deadly Spawn, the Blob, things of that nature. And then on the other hand, you have giant monster films, which is like King Kong, Godzilla, Mothra, a lot of the Asian cinema stuff. But they're both really cool, and I also throw them in the horror, category, even though they're like sci-fi horror. They are creature features at the end of the day still. So both of those categories I do like to an extent. There's certain creature features I like. I'm a huge fan of Pumpkinhead. There is certain giant monster movies I like. I do like King Kong. I do like Godzilla. I haven't really got into Mothra and Rodan and some of these other ones, but I would like to check them out eventually. So yeah, that's giant monsters and creature features. The next one is psychological horror. There's a lot of these that are really great too. One of the most notably classic known ones is Silence of the Lambs. Very psychologically thrilling type movie. Very, just deeply rooted fucking psychological type of horrors to me can be really great because they don't need to use extreme blood, gore, and violence to get something really creepy, scary, or off the wall across to you. So I'm actually a huge fan of psychological horror and psychological thriller films. Seven is another prime example of that. Seven has some gore in it, but Seven is done so well, and it really plays on the psychological factor extremely well, all the way to the ending. Phenomenal ending with Kevin Spacey, with the Pac scene. The suspense and the psychological thrilling in that is just beautifully done. Really love that subgenre. The next one is exorcism / satanic / cult films. There's a ton of these as well. Camp Hell, the Last Exorcism, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, The Exorcist. There's a ton of movies that fit into this category. One I watched recently, actually last night, The House of the Devil, a Ty West film, also falls in there under the satanic / cult ritual type films. And these are fun. I actually really like these. I think the exorcism films are also very hit and miss, though. There is some that I don't like, but a lot of the stuff I've seen I really liked. I honestly can't remember the last time I watched an exorcism film or a cult satanic film that I didn't like. It's been a while, I won't even lie about that, so I actually do like that subgenre. The next one is cannibalism films. There was a ton of these in the 70s and 80s. You got Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox, what is it? Zombie apocalypse. I mean, there's like a lot of these that are like cannibal, zombie type films. They were really rampant in the 70s and 80s. There was a ton of them put out. A lot of grindhouse type stuff. I really love them. I enjoy cannibal films. Most notably, when you look at the cannibal genre, you can also look at things like Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Rising, Manhunter, that whole franchise, obviously. So there's some good stuff in the cannibal subgenre, without a doubt. I do like a lot of the stuff that comes from the cannibal subgenre. The next one is Witches and Warlocks. There's a ton of these films as well that I absolutely love. The film Warlock itself, the whole franchise is very cool. They get a little cheesy, but I did like a lot of the kills. One of my favorite, I think, is in Warlock 2 or 3, where he rips off this chick's scalp. He's driving down the road with her and just fucking rips her whole scalp off. Very savage and brutal. Very cool stuff. Late 80s, early 90s type stuff. And witch movies are the same way. There's a lot of really good witch movies. The Craft, The Witches of Eastwick, the film Witches, which was just reviewed or looked at by, I believe, DVD Collector 1974. I think you actually looked at this film and did a review on it recently. But there's a lot of stuff under that subgenre as well that's really good. So another one that I actually enjoy. The last one that I have here on the list is B-movies. B-movies is pretty much anything that's really low budget, that's kind of lumped in. A lot of stuff from Troma's in here, Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High, stuff like that. I'll admit, when it's done right, B-movies can be great. Things like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Return of the Killer Tomatoes, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. There's stuff like that I have a spot for in my heart. I have a spot for B-movies. I do enjoy B-movies. I think they get shit on a lot, but they're fun. I mean, you gotta go into a B-movie knowing it's a campy classic type film. It's something that's not gonna be Oscar-nominated performances in it. It's not gonna have the most amazing effects in it. It's something to kind of give you a chuckle and, a throwback to old horror. So I actually like a lot of the B-movie horror stuff. So B-movie horror is actually another one of my favorite subgenres. That pretty much wraps up my horror film discussion for subgenres. Just a quick overview of some of the ones I do and don't like. It's okay with ghost, paranormal, and supernatural stuff. I'm on the fence with it. Nature horror films I actually do kind of like. Slashers I absolutely love. Splatter and torture porn I absolutely love. Found footage is okay if it's done right. Sci-fi horror I do like. Comedy horror I love. Haunted house films are decent again. Vampire, werewolf, and zombie films I do like, with my two favorite out of the three being werewolf and zombie films. Vampire films are just okay for me. Creature features and giant monster movies I do enjoy. There's a lot of cheese out there, but there's some good ones. Psychological horror I really do like. There's a lot of stuff that's well done. A lot of those films are actually more like films based on the storyline versus films based on the gore and the horror. So psychological horrors are one of my favorites. Exorcism, satanic, and cult films, another one of my favorites. I enjoy a lot of those. Cannibalism films, another one I really enjoy. Witches and Warlocks, another one that I enjoy that also has hits and misses. And B-movies is the last one, which I pretty much enjoy a lot of the B-movie stuff out there. Although there is some real shit as well, so you got to keep your eye out for the bad stuff. You don't want to get caught up in that. But that pretty much wraps it up. That is my run through of subgenres and my discussion on it. Feel free to leave a response to this. Leave a comment down below in the box. Make sure you subscribe. Tune in again. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for checking me out. I'm out. Peace.